Look at Monday morning, Alaska and much of South Central waking up this morning. We did see some of that heavier snowfall and areas of wintry mix that pushed through the region. Now we're seeing that transition to all snow. A lot to talk about as we are expected to see the return to some colder conditions here over the next couple of days. But taking a live look outside, we continue to see those overcast skies remaining with us. Winds are still with us across the state, and that will pose a problem as you head out towards the Homer Spit, where we do have a high surf advisory. We'll break that down for you coming up in the next few minutes. But as far as what we're dealing with across the state, several locations continue to remain up under some form of a winter weather alert. Now, the bulk of these winter weather alerts that we're seeing, as well as high wind warnings, those expire into the afternoon and evening hours. A few locations as you head out towards the Klondike Highway, where we're seeing that winter weather advisory, that continues through tomorrow morning. And then we've also got a winter storm warning as you head out towards Thompson Pass. So we are seeing that transition to some snow that is taking place this morning. But if you were up earlier today, right around 6 to 7 a.m., there were some heavier bouts of some precip that was falling across parts of South Central. That was more in the way of some rain, sleet, and graupel mixed in with that before that transition to all snow did take place. And we are seeing the potential for about 1 to 3 inches of accumulation to be expected today. But breaking down what we're seeing across not only South Central but the state as a whole, there is a high surf advisory along the Homer Spit until 5 p.m. this evening. This is for large breaking waves of 8 to 13 feet. This will bring the potential for shoreline erosion or beach damage that we could see occur. This was the same scenario that we did see several weeks back. And then, of course, that strong southwesterly winds up to 60 miles per hour will impact Kachemak Bay out towards the Homer Spit, while western parts of the Kenai through the Anchorage Bowl and southern parts of the valley will see winds anywhere from about 20 to 40 miles per hour, and we will see some gusts upwards of 50 to 55 miles per hour looking possible. So yes, those winds are still with us. They do die down though as we welcome in our Tuesday and into the middle of the week. We're talking about quieter, sunnier, and colder weather. Now, there is a winter storm warning out towards Thompson Pass until 5 p.m. this evening. This is for additional snow accumulation of 6 to 12 inches. Winds up to 60 miles per hour will lead to some localized areas of visibility or reduced visibility. And then out towards Keystone Canyon, we're talking about lower amounts of about 2 to 6 inches expected, but there will also be some snow accumulation there. And you can see that moisture has been pushing to the east for a large portion of South Central. There's that wintry mix we're seeing for Valdez. Now, Thompson Pass will see that better potential for snow. And then across western parts of South Central, as you head out towards the Kenai Mountains, the Chugach Mountains, and into parts of the valley, this is where we're holding on to that snowfall. Now, within that bands of snow that we're seeing, there is the possibility that we could see snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. This is why we have that potential to see about 1 to 3 inches of snowfall with some locally heavier amounts. Once this snow tapers off, that's practically it for the rest of the week, as we are expected to see the return to colder and drier weather. Across the rest of the state, we've got some snow pushing through the interior. That will increase into the afternoon, and we'll also see some pockets of some wintry mix expected. That area of low pressure that has been pushing through southwest Alaska, now it's out towards the Seward Peninsula. This is a big driver in what's driving in those colder conditions. Notice the temperatures out west. 3 below in Nome, 4 below in Bethel, 8 degrees in Dillingham. As you head out towards the Aleutians, those temperatures are sitting in the teens and 20s. Meanwhile, from the interior here in South Central out towards southeast, we've got those temperatures sitting near freezing into the 40s. That's where we're still holding on to that warmer air, but our winds, they are out of the southwest. Now, typically we tend to see warmer conditions with those southerly winds, but check out that 24-hour temperature change out towards southwest Alaska and through the Aleutians, about 5 to 30 degrees colder than this time yesterday. And that southwesterly flow, that is pulling in those colder conditions. So we're going to see colder air building into South Central throughout the day, into the evening hours, which will pose a problem for any standing water that we have on roads. So be prepared for refreezing taking place really through the rest of today and into our Tuesday before that colder air really settles back in across the state. Even through the interior, where we did see those hazardous road conditions through the weekend, be prepared for refreezing on those roads as well, which will lead to the potential for some icy conditions. Now, temperatures have been well above average for not only Anchorage but the state as a whole. Currently, we're sitting at 11 days this year, or this January, where we've seen those temperatures climb into the 40s. That's the second most on record. With that being said, we did hit roughly right around that 40-degree mark earlier this morning. After the climate report is issued later today, we'll likely see 12 days where we've seen those temperatures climbing into the 40s, which will tie for the single most highest number of days in January where we've topped out in the 40s. Even in through Fairbanks, we've seen 3 days where those temperatures warmed into the 40s for January. That's the third most on record for Fairbanks. And then looking ahead through the rest of the state, when it comes to those temperatures, you can see the average temperature in January for Anchorage, 29.6 degrees. That's enough through January 26 for us to be the 5th warmest on record. Fairbanks, 8.3 degrees. That was the average temperature for January, nearly 20 degrees above average. That's enough for the 8th warmest currently. And then even out towards Utqiagvik, where we're seeing an average temperature of negative 2.1, that's enough for the 9th warmest. Many locations across the state will end this month inside or just outside the top 10 warmest. The only saving grace is going to come in the form of that colder air we're going to see through the rest of this month, I should say, which will drive those temperatures down slightly. So many areas, be prepared for this January to be one of the warmest we've seen in quite some time. And then looking ahead through the remainder of today, you can see that snow will continue to fall for parts of South Central into the interior. That tapers off into the evening hours. Now, locations through the western, central interior, be prepared for additional snow accumulations of about 2 to 6 inches before that does taper off later this evening. Fairbanks and surrounding locations may see about 1 to 3 inches of that snowfall with some locally heavier amounts, as well as some pockets of wintry mix as you head out towards areas near the Alaska range. So be prepared for that likelihood. And we're also still holding on to some of those gusty winds through the passes, which will lead to some reduced visibility. But snow tapers off into the evening. Check out the state. We are going to be quiet and dry for most of Alaska here over the next couple of days. The Aleutians out towards Kodiak and southeast, this is where we're primarily going to continue to hold on to some of that active weather, more so for the Panhandle, where we are going to be watching for some rain and snow arriving overnight into your Tuesday. Now, most of that snow will fall in those higher elevations, but at sea level, we could see the potential for some of that snow to mix in, bringing the possibility for about an inch or so of snow accumulation into our Tuesday. So we'll be watching for that, but for most of the state, quieter and colder weather will take shape through a large portion of this week. So still warm and above average from South Central into the interior, although temperatures are set to drive downward through the day. Check out the return to the deep freeze as we see that southwesterly flow continuing to pull in that colder conditions overnight into tomorrow. Temperatures will drop down into the teens and 20s across South Central. That's where we'll see refreezing take place on the roadway. So any standing water will freeze through the night, becoming icy. So be careful on those roadways the next couple of mornings. And you can see that cold weather staying with us. With that being said, check out towards the Aleutians and the Bering. Another ridge is set to build in through the close of this week. And that will likely bring the return to some warmer conditions out west, and also seeing the potential that we could see the return to some stormier weather for parts of the Aleutian. So we'll be watching for that. But for the time being, we are going to settle back into somewhat of a seasonal weather pattern across a large portion of the state. So Fairbanks today, highs near freezing, a chance for some snow dropping down into the single digits for your highs tomorrow. And then Wednesday through Saturday, those afternoon highs will be sitting below zero. Parts of the interior will see lows later this week, anywhere from about 30 to 50 below. So this has the potential to be the coldest air of the season. You can see a slight warming trend into the weekend as we climb back near 9 by Sunday. Here in South Central, if we see that 40-degree reading today, that will be 12 days this year, or 12 days this month, where we have topped out in the 40s, which will be a brand new record. And you can see dropping into the 20s tomorrow, and then teens by Wednesday, and then there it is Thursday and Friday, sitting in the single digits. Now, one thing to note about Thursday and Friday, we have little to no snow on the ground outside of the accumulation that's occurring this morning. And we're also seeing some areas of blowing snow across South Central as well, which will lead to some localized visibility concerns. But with the lack of any significant snow across South Central, we may see those temperatures a few degrees warmer into the weekend or into the close of this week. But right now, keeping those highs in the mid to upper single digits. Overnight lows also have the potential to bottom out below zero. So there's that colder weather we're going to see. By the weekend, temperatures do moderate back near seasonal values as we top out near 21 degrees. Plenty of sunshine this week, but outside of that snow accumulation we're seeing today The rest of this week will feature a lot quieter weather. Those winds should die down by Wednesday, as we'll still hold on to some gusty conditions through the passes, mountain passes tomorrow, particularly out towards Seward, parts of Prince William Sound, and into the valley. Be prepared for some of that northerly winds, which will lead to some gusty conditions. So that's what we're going to be expecting to see this week across the state. Giving you another live look outside with those overcast skies that we continue to see. Snow falling across South Central. Be careful on those roads, as we do have some localized areas of some visibility concerns. We'll have more coming up in the noon show as well as in the evening newscast. Stay tuned to alaskasnewssource.com for the latest. Colder weather, though, heading our way. We'll have more details coming up in the evening.